We'll be back from that short break, and a very good morning once again. I'm Anju Barije with Master Katsumi here on your daily Kickstarter Smart Means Business. Definitely, as we deliver to you the right business information, quite very essential when it comes to decision making and implementation. But of course, before we get into any further discussions, don't forget that all this is powered by Alltex. Yes, Zabu, that is a platform from Alltex which just made your trading experience much more easy. Now, for you to be a part of this, simply dial *292# and definitely you'll be available with quite a number of options where you can choose to buy government bonds and securities for as little as 15,000 Ghanaian shillings. Yes, now the market's open at 8:15 a.m. closing at 3:15 p.m. East African time, Monday up to Friday, except on the weekends and the public holidays when you can access the markets. But at least you have the rest of the 5 days to capitalize and make yourself quite some huge profits in there. Something very essential when it comes to productivity and personal growth. Like I always say, this is one of the ways you can actually earn a side income, which is very, important in such a time and such an economy. Yes, Zab made this a reality. There is no excuse as for issuing all government bonds and securities. Now, Zab simply says, my money, my future, and all Alltex East Africa says, do something new. Well, now heading straight into our morning call discussion. Of course, today, being the fact that we shall be discussing more matters regarding the agriculture, prioritizing agro-industrialization. That is in the financial year 2023-2024, and definitely this kickstarts off our morning with the Honorable Atukwasa Rita. That is the woman MP in Mbarara City, and of course, this is what she had to say regarding this matter.
Of course, it is very pertinent that as we promote agriculture, we equally look at ways in which to add value, to increase the shelf life of certain crops or plants that we do harvest, to be able to supply not just in Uganda, in the neighboring countries and out of Africa. Agro-industrialization is very key because when we were in Chankwanzi, as we interacted on political economy, trying to look at how does USA look like, how does US look like, how does UK look like, how does Germany look like, that actually most of the people live in towns or in cities and leave more land for large-scale farmers to be able to engage in agriculture, because the sector for services, the sector for industries is usually centered in towns. Then therefore you leave land for agriculture. It was actually revealing that if Ugandans have got to transform, even when agriculture is our backbone, it must not be rudimentary, it must not be small scale, but to have a transition where people are into services and working in factories so that more land can be left. So what is it we need? I think the issue of zoning, the issue of specializing, to know what grows where. For instance, you imagine if in Mbarara City, as we were, the beautiful hills of Nyakayojo, of Bihare, if all those were transformed into grape farmers, where grapes do well, they don't need a lot of water. Why not? We already have people engaged in production for wines. You know them. In Mbarara City, you no longer need to buy other wines at parties. People will manufacture and supply. So if all those people integrated table grapes, integrated wines, that is a very catchy crop where you use it for domestic but also for neighboring countries and others. Talk about beef. I have grown up in an era where trucks of cows are being ferried from Western Uganda, Ankole in particular, to Kampala. Then agro-industrialization brings in aspects of quality control, of market and hygiene. How about if a beef processing plant is situated in the western part of Uganda? That would mean we would have quality meat where these animals are slaughtered on site without moving long distances. That reduces the quality of our beef that we eat, but also improving the conditions of the food that we eat. Today, right now, you can imagine even society thinks if you go to a butcher and the meat that has a lot of flies, they think is what is quality meat. So we need to move according to the progress in terms of public health, but also in terms of quality to be able to attract markets. Right now, you know it. we have always had pineapples. There are so many. You find people selling like 12 or 15 of them at 10,000, even by face value. That tells you that is not correct. So we need to go into the culture. Who is drying? Dried pineapples are very marketable. Dried tomatoes are very marketable. And we still have a benefit of organic. I know, for instance, in Bara City, people have dropped the habit where they want to spray. They want to spray banana plantation, they want to spray eggplants so that they don't weed anymore. But that is going to deplete our soil, to take away nutrients, and we'll be compelled to use fertilizers, and we will be dependent, and that increases the cost of production. So therefore, with agro-industrialization, you cannot go wrong. We all must eat, and most of the agro products are for human consumption.
Well, quite very important in there when you hear the term agro-industrialization. Definitely, that means you have to add value to what you're putting out there on the market. You know, something very key if we are to really compete effectively. That is on the global scale from that perspective. And of course, they mentioned quite so many other aspects. Because we need to enhance our creativity, you know, dried pineapples, you know, and so many of that. And that will be one of the key ways in which we can actually increase revenue for this country. We shouldn't just be arrested in one corner, you know, having a different mindset. So we can innovate new ways in which we can actually make our products really much more or better in that regard. Well, that is it for the morning call. Now let's get to take a look at what's making headlines in the press. Well, here, of course, I have the Daily Monitor with me, and Masika Time will be taking us through the new vision, what's really transpiring there. Now, of course, on the Daily Monitor here on the top page, we see survivors of Somalia raid lived on urine for 6 days. Wow, quite very devastating aspects here. You know, that's the cost of war, man. I mean, that's the cost of war for the soldiers. I mean, they need to understand that. Of course, UPDF and defense spokesperson Brigadier Felix Kulaije, of course, says that 4 soldiers were found weak, of course, but alive, with lieutenant among them nursing wounds, of course, following the May 26th Al-Shabaab onslaught attack. That is on their best. Well, and also here is what Ugandans expect from President's address today. Yes, you'll be finding out more of that. What do they really anticipate is going to be spoken here still in the Daily Monitor. And of course, we also see National Council for Higher Education alters period, of course, to review the courses. I hope this will be in position to read what was, you know, predominantly known as the expired courses. And of course, quite so many more. Mas, what do we have on the top here?
Actually, for the lovers, those who are into entertainment, I must say it is good for us Uganda, as Ghetto Kids actually received a hero's welcome yesterday as they came back to our country, Uganda. They well presented us.
The Britain Got Talent.
And of course, we
that is
are
good.
glad that they made it that far, and that is the kind of talent we are hoping to push for. You know,
that is, yeah.
It has, you know, widened our space.
Yeah, and exposure.
People know Uganda. They know the kind of capability we have and the energy we bring.
Very true.
And of course, National Council for Education adjusts schools review period and cases on the rise in Teso, Bukedia, Gisu sub-regions. And of course, new drug gangs have been attacking schools. So that is what we have here in the new vision today.
Now here in the national news, here in the Daily Monitor, we see that the Deputy Speaker of Parliament assures filmmakers of government support. Yes, something which is very remarkable. Now, the Deputy Speaker of Parliament, that is Mr. Thomas Tayebwa, has told filmmakers to count on government, support in bolstering the sector's growth. Of course, while presiding over the 20th edition of the Uganda Film Festival Awards Gala at Uganda Institute of Information and Communications Technology in Nakawa, Kampala last Friday, he promised that the government will be giving support to the sector. Yes, good news in there.
And of course, right here, as I told you earlier, we're expecting the State of Nation address, and of course, we have some actually expectations from some of the economists and members of parliament on what is to be addressed today, as the president gives us a review of what transpired last year, and of course, what we expect this year 2023-2024, and of course, you know, later on in the day we shall be discovering and of course knowing much more. Now, KCCA pays companies 7.8 billion over delayed projects. This is quite odd. Anyway, the Kampala
7.8 billion.
Kampala Capital City Authority is on the spot over 7.8 billion compensation to Chine Larry Seventh Group Company Limited for idle time caused by delays to secure the right of ways and delays of the authority's engineers to issue commencement orders to the contractor.
Okay. Wow, very interesting in there. And of course, here in the national news section, we see that refugee graduate scoops 800 million Ugandan shillings in scholarships. Yes. And of course, IGG probes fraud at National Medic Store. Of course, the Inspector General of Government, that is Miss Betty Kamia, has, through her inspections, commenced on investigation into the operations of the National Medical Stores, a government agency that is responsible to procure, store, and distribute drugs, that is to public health facilities. Corruption in their fraud, in their something very devastating. Of course, the health sector being one of the critical aspects in any country, and it speaks a lot to how that country is going to progress economically, because the money you would have invested in economic growth, you're spending it on, you know, health, caring for the people.
You know, a healthy mind is
yeah, it is okay, but you know, there is being treated, but how about you live a life of I mean, because here in health, it's much more better if you have a well-established health system. That means if I go to a hospital today and I get a dose because the medicine is there, you know, and I heal completely, I'm going to be healthy for some good time. And when I'm healthy, I'm going to be able to be productive. But if I go to a place and the medicine is not there, that means I'm going to have issues taking my dose. And that means there are high chances that I'm going to be falling sick frequently. Something which is not good. It's very expensive in the long run, and actually it has something to do with your well-being.
Now, KCCA released a report on the pothole repairs, and of course, as we well know, we have been having issues of roads, not poor roads, of course, with potholes, and memes were made about this. And of course, they went on and they were in Kosase actually yesterday, and they're giving a report on how far they have reached when it comes to repairing the potholes. And of course, the Kampala Capital City Authority has failed to beat the 45-day deadline that it had set to fix all the potholes across the city. And of course, it's just 45 days is a small time actually for this. I don't know why he said that fixed time. It's such a short time. That's a month and you know, in a few weeks. It's just a short time. But of course, we give them a benefit of doubt that they are going to actually cover, because now they're expecting to cover 8,500 kilometers. Can you imagine?
Wow,
that's quite some
quite a distance.
And of course, you can't do it in just a period of 45 days. So.
Absolutely true.
I believe they'll be given extra time to work on their
okay. Very interesting. Now let's take a look at what's happening into the world of traffic there. Of course, the images we're observing are coming in from the clock tower, you know, the traffic atmosphere there. As you can see, it's a sunny morning according to the look of things here, and it does seem like the traffic is a little bit mild and a little bit light according to our observations just right here. Take a look there now for the people that are coming in from areas that is such as you know, you're coming in from Zambia, you're coming in from Kamosha, and you probably coming to town. So that is the situation like for you there. it's quite mild, I'll say. Quite a few people moving in here and there, pedestrians, and of course also quite lots of vehicles that are coming in from those particular destinations as mentioned. But of course, it seems like mildly congested. Of course, I'll be taking a look at the overall picture. I'm just being given just one side to really observe, but that is the look of things. It seems to be quite smooth. That is for the people that are coming in from actually Entebbe, all areas along Entebbe Kajansi, and also the areas along that is Gaba Road, you know, talking of Bunga, talking of Zambia, talking about Kabalagala, and you're coming towards town to execute business. It seems to be a little bit friendly for you there, according to the look of things. Yes, so it's quite you know, a very, like I told you, it's a cool morning. Yeah, very sunny, not so much as such, but yeah, it seems to be very okay. Because if I may observe the route that is coming in from Kampala, connecting straight towards Gaba Road, you know, you're coming in from Kampala and you're heading towards Kansanga, Kabalagala. Well, you can see that it's quite very free, actually, very free indeed. If you to really observe further regarding these very matters in there. So yeah, so if you're coming in from those areas, as you can observe there, it's quite very free for you. You will be able to reach in time. It's actually quite free according to the look of things. It's really free. I can see the traffic officers there in full control. And you know, surprisingly, even when you take a look at the Zambia route, just only one car just being stopped there. I mean, that really communicates to you how free the road is. So if you're just waking up probably and you're planning to come towards town, you're coming in from Zambia, well, I guess the earlier the better, because as later on, as the time moves in, you will find a bit of issues when you're reporting to town and you're coming in from those areas. So you can clearly see how this is playing out here for the people. Of course, on a business day like this, on a Wednesday, you know, actually Wednesday is one of the days that, you know, they're known to be a little bit moderate when it comes to traffic jam in most cases, as compared to the rest of the days. You know, that could be, we can talk about Monday, which is always quite tricky. And but as, of course, the middle of the week, there is that sort of relaxation which comes along, which really means and indicates that it's quite very friendly for any person to come in here and execute the business that you ought to execute rightly. Yes, border borders, as we can see, of course, with the right, following the right aspect, of course, being disciplined when it comes to, of course, traffic rules, you know, because most of them actually are the biggest cause of the most accidents that we encounter on the road. So the discipline that they are keeping in here is quite very interesting. But of course, we can also attribute this to the traffic officers that are doing quite a very great job to make sure that everything is in really the right control according to the look of things. But it's a very free lane actually today morning. If you're coming in from those areas, you're coming in from Gaba Road, you're coming in from Entebbe Road, and definitely you plan to come to town, and Clock Tower is going to be part of your route where you're going to connect. I can guarantee you that it's quite very friendly, and you will be in position to actually reach in time. It's a very cool morning, a very relaxed mode in terms of vehicles moving in from one area to another according to the look of things. Of course, you can take a look at the pedestrians that walk on the sides, on the lanes, on the side lanes of that road, of course, at the Clock Tower. Quite very many of them. Actually, it's one of the busiest areas among the areas where we really observe the traffic. The Clock Tower is the busiest when it comes to pedestrians. It's a place rich of pedestrians, people walking to work, and even the evening hours. Actually, when you're passing by that very street, you see quite a vast number of individuals walking in there, heading towards work. I mean, away from work heading towards home, and now majority are reporting towards work. Very hardworking citizens in there. And I think that was quite a positive move to put for them a lane. Unlike before, that of course I'm not going to say that because the road is still under construction and quite more is yet to be added there. But unlike before, when literally they could move closer to the vehicles, and that could actually even lead to more congestion from that. So the planning should be really well set for that place. That is to ensure that there is absolute, of course, control when it comes to the flow of traffic and the movement of the vehicles. As you can also take a look at the buses, of course, the route shared by quite a number of vehicles, different weights and all that. But anyway, you can see the crowdy area there, very crowded, very busy. Well, that is it for the traffic updates this morning. It's 27 minutes past 7. And of course, you're still watching Smart Man's Business, your daily kickstart. I'm Andrew Barija with Masi Katsumi. But of course, before we get into the break, don't forget the markets on the Zabo platform, which are going to be opening at exactly 8:15 a.m. Yes, 8:15 a.m. and they'll be closing at 3:15 p.m. Of course, now the ultimate question is, what do I need to do to be a part of this? Star 292 hash is the USSD code, and you'll be availed with quite a number of options where you can choose to buy government bonds or securities for as little as 15,000 Ugandan shillings. Now, if this is effective Monday up to Friday, 8:15 a.m. till 3:15 p.m. East African time, effective Monday up to Friday, and well, except from the public holidays and the weekends when you can access these markets. But at least, like I always say, you have the rest of the 5 days to capitalize and make yourself quite some huge profits. Something very essential and potential when it comes to your well-being as a citizen of Uganda. Now, Zabo simply says, my money, my future. And also East Africa says, do something new. Well, now let's get into the break. And definitely when we return, we have something from within the Caribbean. What's happening within East Africa? And also shall be taking a look at the international scene, what's making headlines in terms of business. Stick around. A very good morning.